Okay, let's start. All right. 1 second. Okay. Joanne, I got a quote from a USA factory to sew a simple top for $20 to $40 each. That's a big gap. They need to narrow down into what it should be. MOQ 50, not including fabric notions, etc. The factory is part of a nonprofit trade school that focuses on providing refugees learning opportunities, and there's a social enterprise portion that would be sewing my garments, which is cool, if nothing else, a great piece to have in my line for the story of it, etc. How does that pricing compare to the other USA factories? I'm wondering if I just try to find a cheaper fabric for that one to keep the retail price reasonable, $65 in case production is on the higher side. So, um, something that I don't love about these social enterprises and helping refugees is that there's normally one person at the top that uses these people to make themselves famous. There's one in New York that's become quite famous, and um, she basically uses the charity to promote herself and not them. And they're not trained that well. All they can really make is like napkins at the end of the day. They're not really getting jobs, but she's made a name for herself. So just be a little careful. It's fine if you want to work with them and all that, but be careful when you make that your whole story. A lot of times, a lot of these things, there's a lot of holes that can be kind of poked into them. And you don't want to like have your brand exposed to that. Like when you're branding, maybe just say like, we work with companies that support training for refugees. I wouldn't make it a huge part of your brand, is what I'm saying. I'd make it maybe like a subplot, not the whole thing. I think the pricing is fine. $20 to $40 is a big range, though. They should be able to give you a better range than $20 to $40. So I would push for that. Um, $40 for 50 pieces seems a little bit high, especially because these people are being trained. They're not professionals, right? So yeah, I would
Well,
have
they're
it.
graduates from the program that then work at the social enterprise.
Okay.
But I mean, still, they don't have a ton of experience, obviously.
Are there any graduates from the program that have their own businesses that you could hire directly?
Yes, I think right now they don't have any. I don't know. I'm wondering if they graduate in May or whatever, but she told me because typically so they're a little funny. Um, anyway, so they only do off the top samples. Or yeah, sampling. They don't do like a fit sample. So they want the pattern done and all of that with like a freelance sewer. And then they take that, they copy it exactly, do like I think she called it an off the top sample, make sure everything's right, and then go into production. And so it sounds like they only have a few people because her production timeline for 50 was 4 weeks.
Okay.
So it sounds like super, which is great because I could even go down to 25 MOQ. And it's, I mean, I would pay no shipping. I can just go pick it up. But obviously, and
Okay.
then and then they charge $300 like setup fee per style to like go through, set up their threads, etc. So I think I'm gonna end up being priced out of this because if it's $40 plus $300 setup fee is plus
$50.
fabric plus notions is, I mean, I have to sell it for like 120, and that's I think going to be out of range if I'm going overseas for other items that are going to just have a much lower price.
Talk to Danielle, who just
Okay.
left. skipped the membership. She is
Okay.
an at-home sewer and has a whole network of at-home sewers, and your product is looks simple enough
Yeah.
that they would be able to handle it, and they're going to get you a lot better price.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you're talking $50 for people who just learned how to sew. You could get a $50 product made in New York City with people who've been sewing forever.
Okay.
So I would say the only thing I would try to do is say, I would like to talk to one of your graduates directly and work with them directly. And they might
Okay.
get a better price.
Okay.
Should give you a better price because I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of pushed her on. She's like, we'll do the 300 and then we'll figure out what, like, we'll price everything out, da da da. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Can you give me a range? And she was like, well, and then like looked at it and was like, I think 20 to 40. And I'm like, okay, I really think you were just like pulling that out of your butt because I kept pushing you and you probably want my business. Um,
Yeah.
so, okay, so that's good
I
to
would
know.
I would have her not manage it. If their whole thing is we train people and give them skills, great. Let me work with one of those people who has skills now.
Mhm.
I don't want to work with you, you know?
Okay.
And that's for me also. Like I tend to stay away from businesses that do this. If you're training people to empower people, to give them options, it should not be working for you. There should be people who are starting their own businesses, going other places, right?
Mhm.
If the education component is just a funnel to cheap labor, it's not really a,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's my problem with a lot of these things. It's just a fancy way of saying cheap labor. Uh, so,
Yeah, I
well,
mean, they definitely have the freelancers because I've talked to a few different people who are like, oh, you could get graduates, da da da, blah blah blah, but they just don't have them right now. But I just kind of got the vibe from talking to her that she sounded more like a social worker who runs the social enterprise than like someone
yeah.
who knows fashion, which is fine. But I
Mm.
think it just for me, I'm like, okay, is this something I want to move forward on? Do I want to do one piece with them? And it's like, cool, you can shop this like one piece that's really whatever, or do I just want to say like, no, thanks, I'll go somewhere else and um, do
So
it differently?
I would talk to Danielle and then come back to this. You always have this, right? I would talk to Danielle
Right.
next. And then I would also push them for like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to your graduates and maybe hire
Okay.
one of them directly.
Okay.
That's how I would do it.
Okay. Cool.
Um, Otherwise, I got my patterns from a domestic pattern maker already. Okay. And I'm moving on to sampling for them. I have a freelance sewer lined up to do the initial sampling because I want to make sure the pattern is 100% right before sending it overseas. Does it matter if I get a final sample made and perfected if I have the pattern? Where are you sending it? You're sending it to Manu?
Yeah.
Um, how much is it going to cost you to make a sample?
$200 to $300, I think,
Just send it
is
to him.
what they. Okay.
It'll be cheaper for you to make a sample, have him measure the sample and make sure that everything is what you want the measurements to be. Have another
Okay.
sample made if you need
Okay.
to, and then ship it to you, than to have it made and then sampled. So I would just send
Okay.
him the pattern and say
Okay.
there might not be perfect, so send me all the dimensions when it's done, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Don't
Cool.
ship it.
And then so with working with him, is I know some people you've said like require a lot of follow up, da da da. Is he pretty on top of it, or should I just kind of make a note like, all right, we're gonna need to
He's
be on top of him?
he's more on top than most, but it's still like India, and you have to fit with people here. It's not the
Okay.
same thing in China. Like China, it requires less babysitting. It's just
Okay.
the way it is.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Mickey, on social media, have you found a magic formula for posting? And is as in how frequently the algorithm likes to have you post to keep it happy? So there is no magic anything for anything in this industry. There's no magic number to make for production. There's no magic mix. It's all trial and error using best practices. And it's, if you look at influencers, there are some that I follow, they post once a week. There's some that post every 3 days. I post every day because, my goals are different. I'm not really an influencer. I'm not trying to get people to hire me for paid posts. Those people tend to post less often and push their posts so they get more likes. I don't care how many likes I get. I'll just put something else out. I care about the engagement and building the relationship and all of that. It doesn't matter if I have 100 likes or 1,000 likes. I'm not selling myself to a company. So, what's right for me isn't right for you. You just, the more you post, the more you're engaged, the more you're on the platforms, the more they like it. And you have to do it that way. You could live on the platform. People do. I don't think you should. So you have to figure out what's right for you and what's realistic for you and move forward with that. Um, is it better to post at the same time each week or daily? Yeah, you want to post the same day, the same time as much as you can. If it's not perfect, it's fine, but try to keep consistency in your posting schedule. A ton of your stories for people to come on this way. It expires and forces them to come. There was one blogger, Charlie Goss, who used to do 90% stories on trends, etc., and she had a ton of sellers. She has since died from cancer, very sad, but has forced you to go back daily and see what she was doing. It was, is this the way to proceed or post better? I mean, you have to have really loyal fans to have that type of strategy. For me, what I do is stories is lifestyle, stories is stuff that like I'm doing in India or memes or random thoughts, and then the posts are things that you want to stay for a while on your feed. That's the way I do it. You can try doing it a whole different bunch of ways. Again, what works for me might not work for you. And what works for you might not work for me. There are a lot of different people who are successful on social media doing a lot of different things. So you have to kind of just try. The beginning is just trying everything and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work and all of that. So that's really what you have to do. Anyone that's selling, I know like right now, everyone's selling a program and a course. Anyone that's selling you like instant social media success, they're not. Like post consistently, post as much as you can, engage as much as you can, look at what's working, look at what's not, make more of what's working. That's it. That is it. That's all you have to do. There's no, use this hook because the hook that works for one person might not work for you. You have to just try everything and figure out what your audience is engaging with and what they want more of. And that's it. This is everything that you do in your business. Like you don't need to hire experts. You just need to look at what other people are doing, do it for your brand, see if it works, try something else with wholesale, with your website, with everything that you do. That's kind of like the way to do it. Okay. Obviously, like use best practices, but it's not like a just do this, this, and this. If it was that simple, everyone would be doing the same thing, right? It's trial and error. Okay. Um, I really like that I own my own email community and really want to spend extra time to understand this and do it right. So for email marketing questions, sorry if it's a silly question. Okay. Sunset Flow. I know you said not to worry about this, but just want to understand a little. Can it be automated as well? Yeah, it's an automation, and whatever platform you choose will have probably a template. If you just Google Sunset Flow, ConvertKit, Sunset Flow, Klaviyo, there'll be instructions on how to do it. Once the 5 emails are sent, is there a simple way to send all subscribers the weekly email to keep them interested? Will ConvertKit or MailerLite allow you? So you can put a tag at the end of a automation, and then that tag is what you'll send your emails to every week. So you'll have one list where it's all subscribers that sign up for the form. When they sign up for the form, they go into the flow, email 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the end of 5, they get a tag that says, flow complete. And then they're now in the group that says flow complete. Instead of sending it to everyone, your blast, you send it to the flow complete people. Again, every single platform is different in how you set that up. ConvertKit is very different than Klaviyo. So whatever you end up choosing, all of them have tutorials on how to do these things, but you'll just have to give it its own special tag, segment. They all have different words for it, a tag, a segment, a group. And then you can put it at the end of that automation. And then you only send to whatever that special tag is that you make. will they keep my emails of those receiving the 5 initial emails separated and only add them to the list after so that's the tag that I was talking about. Email blast Excel is how you keep track of which emails went out so they are not recycled too frequently. So I don't resend emails. What I do is I take the ones that work well and I put them at the end of the automation. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one did really well. Now they're going to get an email 6, and it's going to be this one that did really well because those people aren't getting it because there are new people added to the funnel, right? So that's how I handle that. You can resend. So like I'll resend during launch. I'll reuse my launch emails. So for a sale or something, you might want to just repurpose and reuse. I mean, how many different ways can you say it's a sale, right? Maybe change a few words. That's something you might want to do. And when you copy and paste that email, you can change who it goes to. You can send it to a different segment, a different tag, whatever group it is that you're sending to. But if it's something that really worked really well, don't blast it out again. Just automate it. Automate everything. Like I have 30 emails that you all get as soon as you give me your email, and some send a week later, some send, whenever. And the way I created that 30 email flow is from sending out weekly emails and being like, this performed really well. Everyone knew is going to get this one again. It's being added to my automation. Um, was it Sophia Amoruso you mentioned that does emails saying what she is loving this week because she has access to different fashion stuff? Maybe I also spoke for her. I did like a presentation for her, and maybe that's why she's on your radar, but there are a lot of people that do. I would look at Mild for email, and that's in the lesson. But I would look at Mild for inspiration, and I would make a dummy email account. You can make a fake name or use whatever email you want to use and sign up for all your competitors and see what they're sending out, or sign up for brands that you think are interesting or brands that are in your niche. And then you have one email account that's just all this kind of stuff that you can go through and see. Um, Okay, next is Anna. I'm wondering if you have experience using metallic thread or knit fabric, on knit fabric, something like the example in the attached picture. I'm wondering if this requires a stabilizer. So far, I haven't found anyone who used. Yeah, so I generally don't. I had a project once where they wanted to embroider on the cuff, a rib cuff of a sleeve. And basically, it was a lot of heavy embroidery, and the embroidery didn't really stretch. So the cuff lost all of its stretch and it got really wonky. If you do it, yeah, you might want to back it with something. You could always maybe dissolve it after it's embroidered, but you have to remember that the embroidery is going to lose the stretch. Another example was it was for like the worst client of my life. Um, and they wanted a strip across a like wife beater style tank top. And I said, okay, let's get a stretchy sequin trim, and then we'll use fabric that a stitch that will allow it to still stretch, like in a swimsuit, right? Like that type of stitching. No, we want it embroidered like directly into the thing, and it didn't have stretch the way they wanted it, and everything popped. So even if you're able to make it look nice, you have a stretch fabric for function. The metallic doesn't have stretch. You can't get a stretch metallic yarn, right? It's gonna be not stretchy. Maybe there's something out there. I haven't seen it though. So it's going to take away the stretch from your garment and the functionality of it. You're muted.
Uh, so my friend, I attached a picture. My friend showed me a yoga top, which was, I don't know where it was made, a Canadian brand, and then was perfectly, I attached it in the email, and it had this overlock, or I don't know, like how do you call it, surging, just like they just went through with a metallic thread. And I am searching this metallic thread and how it stayed in place and how it's functioning. And then she has it for like 3 years and it's working. I just don't know what kind of thread they use and how it's worked out, because here everyone he told me is not working out, is not going to work out. I mean, here don't have people don't have experience with this. Usually they embroider on woven, or they use a stabilizer, but not like this way.
So I've seen, yeah, if you use a specific stitch that can have stretch to it. But if you create some sort of embroidery pattern, that's not going to have the same stretch. So I would tell them to whatever stitch they're doing that's allowing for stretch, because I don't think they're using an elastic yarn.
Flat lock,
Yeah, to have them
they
just
planning
flat
flat lock,
lock with the metallic.
just
So then
yeah,
you're
but
just looking
we
for,
don't know that.
so then you're just looking for thread, a metallic thread.
Um,
Borax thread would also, like, it would be a word you could use to Google.
Zari would not work, definitely. So I'm like, I don't know that it's viscose or polyamide. I'm just ordering now some, which is like half polyamide and half nylon and half polyester. I'm going to try that, but
So
I
less
don't.
than the fibers of your thread, your sewing thread, it's more the denier and the size. Often embroidery threads are a lot thicker and they can't run through the sewing machine sometimes. Like they use different threads. So you need to ask them how thin or thick their sewing machines can take and then get that
I
thinner.
asked.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I asked. I was just because there is so many threads in the market, like coats. There is so many brands and so many threads, um, and I just don't know which number. Like there is this number 40, which is like average. There is very thin one. There is a thicker one. So I just don't know which one. That's why I was asking you that. Maybe you had experience.
Well, they're going to tell you the thickness that they can take, not me. They know on their sewing machine it will
They don't know. They
well
don't know.
they do. So they have threads and they order threads and they know what denier that they order. They don't just
Okay.
go and buy any threads. Like they're buying threads and on the spool of the thread has all of the information about the size of the thread. So they know.
The size they told me just to try, uh, and even the thread manufacturer told me just to try, just experiment. What the manufacturer knew is the size of the needle. This is what they were able to give me, because they said they never done this before.
So the manufacturer of the thread or the manufacturer of the clothing.
The clothing manufacturer, they said they were only able to give me the needle size, but
Okay.
they haven't done this before. Manufacturer Ted told me experiment because we don't know. They told me so far. They don't know that it's going to work because these are embroidery thread, and they don't know. They what I'm looking for is for thread for overlocking or serging. But these threads usually they don't come in metallics. They usually just come in colors, and they don't know how's because the metallic is it can break and it's like much more stiffer than normal threads. So I just try and I will see. I will see.
So
I was just wondering if anyone knows someone who done this before, because they made that they making. I saw two brands who making um, some metallic. They adding silver or something to the sport clothing.
yeah, so I mean this is how I would do it. I would ask them for what size threads that they're buying I would then, you could research if they tell you the needle size, what threads work with this needle size. I would make sure that the threads that you're buying are the correct size that will fit through the needle, because if they're too thick, you've done all this for nothing. And then I would put the sewing machine on a really low speed to do this.
Mm. Yeah.
Interlock, it goes really fast. They zip through. And if you're saying that these threads that you're getting are fragile and they break easily, you're going to want to slow it down and go really slow. And
Mm-hmm.
you might even have to say, I understand you're going to go really slow. I'll pay extra for that, because the slower they go, the more money that they're losing, because the longer it takes you to do your project. So, you say like, I understand if we have to, it's going to cost a little more to move slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I
Okay.
would do
Okay.
it. Looking. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Um, I mean, it looks like a lot of people online are sewing with metallic threads. So maybe, if you're kind of the point person that's organizing this because your factory's never done it before and the yarn people aren't being so helpful, I would watch some videos about how people, like I just quickly Googled sewing with metallic thread and a bunch of
Mm.
stuff came up on how to do it. So I would maybe watch some of those videos and then say to the factory, like, if we're doing and we're learning something new and we're trialing, can we try it in these ways, right? Like it says online, we should wet the fabric first or whatever first. Can we try these different options?
Yeah.
So that's how I would, and when like I try anything new with a factory, we always have a plan of we'll try this, we'll try it this way. This worked. Maybe now we try something different this way.
Mm.
I embroider with metallics. I avoid embroidery on knits for the most part because they're a pain. And I don't really choose these things to do. So,
Mm.
you're doing a very difficult product. You're doing athletic wear in India, which is not something I would ever recommend to anyone. And then you're adding embroidery onto a knit thing. So, which is also something, and then adding the metallic on top of that. So you're just going to have to try a bunch of stuff and see what works. Your best case scenario would probably be to go there, wherever this is, and have a day where you're just trialing the thread once it gets there and you're working together.
Mm.
That's how I would do it. And that's how I used to do when I was like sorting stuff out in China and the Philippines when I worked in fast fashion. Spend 3 days working on a seam, we used to do these like hoodies with prints in the zippers that would go through the zipper, sorting that out, right? I didn't know how to do it. You just sit and you go and you see what comes out. Okay, this looks crappy. How do we fix this? Now we've got this issue. Now we go here. Now we go there. And that's how you do it. Go
Mm.
for 3 days, block out the time, say you want to work all day, and just try everything. First, educate yourself, right? Like watch these videos. This seems
Yeah.
interesting, that seems interesting. Make a plan for yourself and then go and just do it in person. Because that's how I would do it. I don't have your product. I don't have the product that you have with me. I do see, issues kind of with it. Slowing down the machine might just be the key you need. I don't know. Like I would be going to a factory and I'd be doing different trials to do this and figure it out.
Mm.
Maybe what happens is you sew the product. If these things are brittle, they might fall apart really easily and the seam might pop. So maybe what's happening is they're sewing it and then they're over sewing the metallic. I don't know. These are all things that you're going to have to try and wear and do. So,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to, I would go there.
Yeah.
I would do it in person with them. And again, it
Yeah.
might, I don't have this garment that you send a photo of and it's a little bit, it's hard to see. It's a little blurry. There might be a seam underneath. And this might be a decorative seam on top. I don't know that that's a possibility though, because you're telling me these threads are brittle. Maybe that's what's happening. It's not actually structurally holding it together.
Okay, because it's very soft. It does not. It's like feels like very soft, like a normal sewing thread. Doesn't feel. And zari, when you touch zari, is very brittle and very. Actually, it's can scratch you. Some of them.
I think
Yeah.
you're looking for, I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd have to see it and I'd have to see the yarn. Like there's like sometimes there's coarse spun ones where there's like a thread underneath and some stuff around it that still allows for stretch in it. I'm not sure. Like I would need to see the garment. Your best bet is to just get as many
Mm,
options as you can, get them there, and then go there and try and see what happens.
okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Somebody left a comment that I did already try Alibaba also and Indian Mart. And yeah. That was not that helpful. Yeah, Alibaba is they can't give me information. Um, yeah.
okay, so I would do, said they did embroidery. Yeah, so that's what I would do. I would start just getting as many as you can. There's the trade show happening in Delhi. I would go there.
Oh,
It's happening in February,
yeah,
February
February.
15th, I think. Um, they like invite me to it every time. Let me see, hold on. They like offered me like 4 nights in a hotel to go. I don't like to go to Delhi. Uh,
I don't blame you.
but it might be a good place for you. Hold on. I might have deleted it. Mm. Here we go. I 72nd India International Garment Fair, Bharat Tex.
Bharat tax. Yeah, I think I heard.
Yeah, so I would go maybe there and chat with a bunch of people.
Mm,
Maybe you find another factory that is familiar with this technique that you want and
yeah.
try it. Have you been to that trade show before?
No, no, I just saw it somewhere. Came
Fun.
through.
It's big. It's good. A lot of people
Yeah.
go. So I would maybe consider doing that and finding
Okay.
someone who is a little bit more familiar with
Mm,
what it is that you're trying to do. They have
okay.
tons of suppliers. They have yarn suppliers there. They have Burla usually goes. So you should meet some interesting people.
Mm, thank you.
Okay. Um, Lori, can I show you some garments I have so I can better identify the specifics of the fabric I'm looking for? I have cotton knit that is not the kind that stretches out easily. It keeps its shape. Silk blouse, camel hair coat, cotton gauze. Can't think of what it's called right now. Why is plaid flannel always plaid? Because uh, plaid flannel, by definition, is plaid. You can get flannel that's just flannel that's then solid. What makes flannel flannel is a machine that looks like those wire brushes you comb your dog with. It's like that. And it spins and it eats up the fabric and it creates that fuzz. So you can put any color, any type of fabric in it. So if you're looking for just solid flannel, put solid brushed flannel, and then you might be a little bit more things might pop up. Do fabric manufacturers ever use Pantone color book to identify a requested color? Always. If you tell them the Pantone color you want, they'll match it to that color. You cannot choose the color off the computer, though. You have to get the swatch because that's going to look very different than what's on the computer. So if you have the swatch in hand and you like it, they can then match it for you. And that's generally how things are done. So absolutely. Down the road, I would like to add petite sizes. Is there a standard definition of petite? I think it's 5'4" and under. I'm making and grading my own patterns and sewing myself. I think so also, which sounds crazy to me because I'm like almost 5'5" and 5'4". That doesn't feel like a petite to me. I feel like petite's like 5. Personally, like I feel like most people who are like 5'2" can fit into standard clothing. But again, it's also going to depend on like your customer and their needs. Generally, petite means that the arms are shorter and the legs are shorter. So the width of the shirt is still the same, but it's like shorter. So when you get to know your customer and what their needs are, maybe you have a little bit of a different, everyone's grading is a little bit different. I wouldn't, if you're not doing petites now, I wouldn't worry about it. I would cross that bridge when you get to it personally. Because, you know, a lot of the people who are doing these specific petite brands, they're a lot more locked in and niche. I'm a petite with a big butt. I'm a petite with a whatever, whatever. I'm a tall with an extra long torso. I'm a tall with long legs. Farida, I'm a plus size with I want to hide my arms. I'm a, you know, like there it's a just petite. It's not really like enough, I think, and just plus size or just tall. It's different needs for different people, especially in those categories of people. They have very specific wants. So I would maybe just hold off on that until you can just learn more about that niche in general. Um, I would like to sell wholesale. I hear that large retailers like Macy's and Walmart's, etc., have very one-sided contracts and take 2 months to pay. They could take even longer. Is this standard with everybody? Are there any tricks to finding stores that pay faster? Before I moved, I had 4 boutiques that bought from me and paid when I delivered, but finding them is like looking for a needle in a haystack. I don't want to wait that long to get paid and take the risk of the store will go. If you think the store is going to go out of business, you probably shouldn't be working with them. If you think the store is going to go out of business, they probably aren't going to be ordering from you. An exception of this is Matches Fashion. Matches Fashion screwed everyone. They placed these huge orders with people. They pretended like it was business as normal, and then they canceled everything. Before they accepted the orders, they canceled. Um, and a lot, like I know a lot of brands that were really messed up by what they did. But by the time you're not going to be at a Macy's starting out. I'm sorry to burst all of your bubbles, but that's not generally how it works. Generally, you're in different boutiques and you work your way up, and then you're in a Macy's. Then, if Macy's screws you, you have all these other channels that you can get rid of your product to protect yourself. That's the same with the boutiques, right? If the boutique doesn't pay you in time, you have 10 other boutiques, you're not being hurt. You don't want all of your business in Target. You don't want all of your business in Walmart. Even when I worked in Target, right? We had Target, we had Walmart, we had Kmart, we had Sam's Club, we had Mahir's, right? We had Burlington, we had all these different channels where God forbid Walmart canceled that order of 1 million pieces. And believe me, they did. It went to Ross. It went to Burlington. We had those channels all ready to go. We started moving the pieces. That has to be your wholesale plan, right? Your wholesale plan isn't, I got into Target and now things are great. It's what happens when things, yeah, it could be huge exposure, but what do I do with these pieces if something happens? So that's what you need to do. And this is a good reminder for everyone, just everything you do in your business in general, like don't take huge risks that if they go wrong, you can't recover. Jordan is another one. She had a piece with a factory that um, ended up shipping stuff with holes in it to another client. And she was like, I just want to place this order because I don't want to have to resample this someplace else. And I said, if it goes wrong and it's all holy, will this ruin your business? She said, no, it's going to suck, but it won't put me out of business. And I said, okay, go for it. That's what you have to think when you take these big risks, right? With the Macy's and the Targets and things like that. Will it put you out of business? If it's going to put you out of business, maybe you don't. Maybe you figure out another way, right? And then for finding people that will pay like when you want them to pay, I would never do that. The more flexibility you have in your payment structure, the more people are going to want to work with you. And then that just comes down to you doing your research and figuring out if these people are going out of business, right? There are signs. Are they always on sale? Is their store empty? Like you can kind of suss out when people are struggling financially. Um, so that's kind of how I would go about that. Um, I'll be making, especially when you get into like bigger orders, like no one really pays you on delivery or ahead of time. Some people pay on delivery, but some don't. I would urge you to be flexible without putting yourself in a huge risk. I'll be making and grading my patterns and sewing myself using ladies size 6 to 14, not small, medium, large. My starting budget was 15,000, but I'm a bit short for buying fabric because I forgot to include the cost of the dress forms. I used to make theater costumes in Las Vegas and had the body of the person wearing it to use to make the pattern. So I forgot needing dress forms to make a proper size. I think I have enough to buy a couple of rolls of silk to use as lining fabric, but otherwise I might be looking for dead stock for a while. My lack of progress has been on a bit discouraging, but I have a recent victory on December 30th. I got the last shipment of sewing machines I need for a small um, factory. I am celebrating because it took me 3 years to find the used industrial machines I need, and they're all paid for. Okay, that's great. So who was just saying they needed someone to sew for them? Joanne, maybe Lori can help you. I don't know, but it's worth a conversation if you want. Um, so I would say, how much is the dress form? I can't hear you. You're not muted, but I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. Maybe just type it in the chat. Well, 400 a piece. So, but that's a child's dress form. No? Okay. So I would say put out an ad, Craigslist, wherever, and have people come that are those sizes and use them. Pay them for an hour, $30 for the hour, and do it that way, no? And then you have a fit model as well. You have a fit model and you have someone to base your pattern off of. Would that work? All right, well, you fix your speaker. Well, you're the last one. So if you can make a pattern off of a body and you don't need the form, I would say don't buy the form. Find the person and then you have a fit model, someone to actually wear it and see how it moves and it feels. And you have someone that you can use for making the pattern. You can, someone told me that an alternative to kill two birds with one stone is feed two birds with one scone. So you can feed two birds with one scone. No, I still can't hear you. But yeah, I mean, finding someone to be a fit model would be a lot cheaper than $400 for sure. So you could save money that way.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. A fit model won't work for me. I have to, when I make patterns, I put the tape and pins. I can't pin a person. So, and then I don't have them 24 hours a day. So these are not the expensive ones. I mean, these things get really expensive. So I just have to buy these or I won't be able to
But
make
you said
patterns.
I used to make theater costumes in Las Vegas and I had the body of the person wearing it to use to make the patterns. So
Yeah, so these are costumes. These are just individual custom costumes that one person is going to wear. I'm not holding them out for sale as say this will fit you if you were a size 8 or a size 10. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it didn't have a size. It was just, somebody standing there and I made their costume and they wore it. I wasn't selling it to someone. So it
yeah,
doesn't.
so why can't you just back and do it reverse? If you make a if you made something for me and I'm a size 2, that's a size 2, right? If you know
It
how
is,
to
but well, I mean, there's several ways to make patterns. You can just go on Etsy or somewhere and you find a block of like a size 2, like a basic block or a draper, and then modify it from there to make your pattern. I prefer the dummies. It's called draping because I can see how it hangs. And so that's
I
why
understand how this all works, but I'm not following as to why what you did in Las Vegas will not work for this. If you can make a pattern off of a person,
yes.
and I'm a size 2, and you
Yes,
make something on me, that's your size 2.
but you're not in my house 24 hours a day.
So you would have to block out time where you would be working on it. You would say from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. or whatever time, this is the time I
Yeah.
work on this pattern with you. And then I'm going to work on it and I'm going to need you to come back in 3 days from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. again, right?
It's cheaper for me just to buy a dress form and know I have it whenever I want it. And I can use it over and over and over. And again, I can't put pins in a person. I can pin my dress form. So anyway, it doesn't matter. But I know you can't really identify a fabric by looking at it, but if can I show you like one or two and see if you can maybe hit the right ballpark?
So you're going to need to, in very bright daylight, take zoomed in photos of the stitches in the fabric, and then I can help you. I absolutely cannot help you on the Zoom call. And if you
Okay.
don't take really clear photos in really good light, similar to Anna, where I kind of could see what was going on, but not 100%, I can't help you. I need to see exactly the stitches and how the fabric is interweaving or knitting, to do that.
Okay. All right. I cannot find my list. I
With the
had a
boys
list
going by
somewhere.
in the background, Joanne, they like walk past in unison.
I had a list of fabric suppliers and I cannot find it. I had to reboot my computer and reinstall everything. I know I had one. It's not from the lesson. I think it was lesson number 3. I don't know if you know where I can find it again.
That I gave you?
Yeah, I got it from you somewhere, but I don't know if I got it off Kajabi. I don't think I got it there. I think maybe it was an email.
What's your email?
It's Lori Bledsoe 25,
BL.
Bledsoe. And I believe there were 3 hemp suppliers in US and there was one in Colorado. I don't know if that rings a bell, but
I
I
have
don't know what.
all I have office hour email from you. I have an office hour email for you, and I have welcome to the Fashion Startup Club. I don't have any other emails from you.
I think it's one of your like from your Instagram. Maybe I got it off there. I don't know.
Okay, so here's what you need to do. You need to fill out those Instagram lists are crap. No one gives away their good stuff for free. Uh,
Yeah.
they're maybe they'll help someone, but you're here, you're not like a stranger on the internet. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill out the form that everyone should fill out if they're looking for fabrics. And then I'll give you better suppliers. Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Was that in lesson 3? I think it was.
Maybe. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I've just given you the link. So all you have to do is click on it and fill it out.
Okay. All right. I'll fill it out.
Can you pad your dress forms to get in between sizes? Like if you buy a 2, 6, and 10, then pad them out to the middle sizes. This is from Adrian.
I can answer that question. You can grade patterns, if you have a size 2, in theory, you can go up and down 3 sizes. I'm being a little picky because, I guess my selling point is I sell stuff that fits and it's not just small, medium, and large. So, it is possible to grade and not have a dress form in every size or every other size, but I just prefer to be a little more accurate.
But if like
That's
it,
just my preference.
I would rethink this or rethink the way you're explaining this because every person who's a size 2, it's not going to fit because they might have different proportions, right? They might have a really small waist or really big thighs or big boobs or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure what you mean by it fits.
Um, if you look at higher end brand clothes, that they sell in actual sizes, like this is a size 6, this is a size 8, this is a size 10, or even some brands that say 6 petite, the fitting, it's a little more fitted to a specific size than, somebody else who doesn't do that. I don't know how to explain it, but the dimensions are a little better.
Better if you fit that body type, right?
Yes,
The body type.
or
So
that
you,
size.
in your niche, what is your body type?
My body type is just an average female between say 6 and maybe 14. Size 6 and 14. So,
Are
I
you
don't have a
following though? Like if I have a, a a brand that's made for people with an hourglass shape is not going to fit a brand that's made for people with a ruler shape.
that is correct, but what I can do is I can make different patterns or different styles that are slightly different to fix different shapes. So let's just say you make like a dress. You can make one for maybe some that looks good on somebody who's maybe an AB cup, and then some that look good on somebody with a CD cup. Just by moving the darts. And I wouldn't sell them as all the same identical, product number. I would just make some, these sizes with this particular dart size, and the body shapes that doesn't look good on, just wouldn't buy them because I mean there's really no way to make, let's say, a dress that fits all body shapes unless you start using a whole lot of elastic or spandex.
Right. So then Adrian's saying, but then wouldn't you take your dress form and pat it out to check the fit for a bustier body than an A or a B cup?
Um,
Maybe
you
there's
can
a way,
do that.
you're saying you're low on budget, and we're saying maybe there's a way you could save money on the dress forms. That could potentially be something. And I would also just go back to the week 1, your niche and your branding, and go through
Yeah.
that. If you're going to offer one dress and you're willing to make it with different dart sizes, that's a big part of your branding there, and that's a big part of, and that's a whole different um manufacturing
I
strategy than
can
making
show you a
everything.
picture real fast if you can hang on 1 second. Okay, so I don't know if you could see this, but here I just drew like a slip, like you would wear. And so I have one version. I have one version here. I just have a slight pleat right there. So this would be good like on an AB cup. This one over here has not just one pleat, it has like gathers under the bust point. So this is more for like a size C or D. So I would not make this and like grade this for everybody. I would have this and this. And then, people, I mean, if you go to a store and you try on stuff, there's some stuff that just doesn't look good on your body shape. So you just buy something else. That's my strategy.
Okay, that's fine. But if you do that, you're going to have to just explain it in a better way than it fits. You'll have to say this dress was specifically made with small busted people in mind. This dress was made specifically for people with wide hips in mind, right? That's
Yes.
how you're going to communicate that. Saying it fits is not going to communicate that. So just maybe jot that down. So when you start working on your website, your social media, all these things, you'll be able to kind of talk through it. Someone saying they bought this dress form, it was the best price I could find for a full form with the collapsible shoulders and magnetic arm that could attach. I've had it for about 6 years now and it's still perfect, nice depth for needles to go in. So I would maybe copy and paste that link as well and go from there. If you want to buy all the different sizes of different things, go for it. But you're maybe gonna have to figure out ways, to
I think I'm just gonna have to go do what the FUBU guy did and just go get a job so I can put money into my business. So I mean that's fine. But
well, maybe you can start getting some clients if you have all this factory stuff set up.
it's gonna take me a while to set it up though. I mean, I just literally got my machines. I'm sure you've been in a factory. It does take a while to set them all up and get it going. I still gotta buy needles, thread, all kinds of stuff. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be a while before I can really get going, but I'll get there eventually.
Right. Um, maybe try sewing for other people while you're, to supplement what you're doing for yourself. And then maybe only make one or two pieces, like we said with Adrian, right? You're starting to sell your samples. You know how to sew and you can sew and you don't have to deal with a factory. Make one style, put it up, see if it sells. Make another, put it up, see if it sells. Maybe you find that this one style is selling a bunch, right? You can still move forward and get data without kind of these, financial roadblocks or
Yeah.
other stuff, right? So I would, maybe think about doing it that way too, especially for people who know how to sew. Whip something up, put it up, start getting feedback.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right, very good. Jot down the notes. I think that will also help you with your website and your copy about different styles for different body types and that type of stuff. Because I think that will help kind of explain the concept a little better. Okay.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, good questions, everyone. I will see you next week. The people who have joined the membership, I'm going to put you in the membership group now so you can start joining like the goal setting and be in that group to chat with everyone because it's a little bit different. And that's it. We have our lesson on Thursday, Friday, Thursday. The lesson is on Friday. Sorry, it's on Thursday, which is Friday for me. So Thursday night we have lesson 13, which is PR. And then we have wholesale, and then we have systems, and that's it. I will see everyone in the group chat. Good questions. Who's here? Okay. No other announcements. All right. I'll see everyone soon.
Melanie, I had a question, sorry, about the I know that we're coming up to January 17th and the class is gonna go away. Is the new material gonna come up at the same time, or is there gonna be like a gap?
What new material?
You said if we sent you a review, we would have access to the new version.
Oh yeah. So you get that anyway, but no, this is what cohort are you in?
Summer
Yeah.
2024.
So that will open for everyone basically the day that they're over. Like once it's all
Okay.
recorded, their last lesson, it's up and I just have to put everyone in it. So then you'll get all
Okay, cool.
the new stuff that you should start with. I mean, all of the sourcing stuff is the same. It's simplified. I made it a lot quicker to go through.
Okay,
Really no new news. The email, the website, the social media, that's different.
cool.
PRs, the same. A lot of it is just, I took a lot actually kind of out and made things so they're faster to do.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Yeah, I've been like going back and rewatching a bunch of lessons now and being like, oh, wait, I missed that. So I just am trying to sort of schedule my time and make sure I'm not like halfway through my email and then I'm suddenly email lesson list.
What we're also going to do, especially because, you're in the membership, is we took a break from it from December and January, but we're going to start doing like a monthly targeted thing. So we'll do PR and we'll go back and we'll just write the pitch together. We'll make the email list together of the editors. Like we'll do all that together. So then you don't really necessarily even need the lesson because we're just going to do it in real time.
Okay, cool.
You,
Sounds
you'll
like fun.
have you'll have the lessons, but I just feel like for me, after 4 years of doing this, you're listening so much, and I feel like that time spent listening, you could just be doing stuff. Yeah, there's lots of stuff you could know and you maybe should know, but also like we only have so many hours in a day. I'd rather you listen to a half an hour lesson and have a half an hour to do stuff than listen to an hour long lesson and not. So it's more action. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
also going to
definitely.
that in the membership, which we used to do, where everyone we'd go like there'd be something every week for everyone to do this, and then this is checked off, like a small segment. It's not going to be your whole PR plan, but it's going to be a little bit of thing that you can get started with.
Cool.
Or whatever, start writing a blog post, researching a blog post, all these different things we're going to be and doing every month. So that's that. For cohort fall 24, just want to confirm that we still have access to all the videos. Yeah, you have access to all the videos. The office hours go away. Those are all deleted. I don't store those. We'll have access from weeks 1 through 15 of that. All right.
Thanks.
Well, I will see everyone. Some of you I will see on Thursday, and some of you I'll see next week. We have goal setting next week also, just to remind everyone in the membership. All right. Bye.